Welcome to this episode of the Partovi Effect. My name is Mrs. Madi Partovi.
And I'm Dr. Ryan Partovi.
We are going to take you on a ride today and introduce you to the Partovi world of food. Why we eat what we eat.
Back to our sweet freshie.
Sweet freshie precioso, pecanito oso.
Yeah, that's our nickname for him.
We took him to Central Market and he was perusing the row of apples, and he was getting a little upset or disappointed because he says his favorite are the organic Honeycrisp. And then I turn around and here's this whole island of the organic Honeycrisp by themselves. I said, Pressy, look. He is so happy.
Yeah.
So he got a bag of those and he measured them and he put it on the scale. Yeah. And got the little tag from it. And then he got himself a drink, just a strawberry and lemonade, or strawberry and lemons.
Yeah.
But it was in a plastic bottle. Okay. And then we check out and he's the one that puts the card in and gets the receipt back from the attendant, and he touches the receipt and he says, "Oh, toxic." And so he quickly puts it into the grocery bag. And then he gets in the car, he starts drinking his drink, and he said, "Mommy."
You're going to have to explain that because a lot of people don't know that the cashier receipts are toxic, or that
they have BPAs on them.
Yeah, bisphenol A.
Yeah. And so if you're like touching your receipt and you want to wash
it here. Yeah.
You want to wash your hands because you don't want that stuff seeping into your skin. And so he's very aware of that. And so he starts drinking his drink. He says, "Mama, this tastes like pee." And I said, "What?" He said, "Not PE, plastic." And so I'm just interiorly, I'm just secretly delighting in all of his, like, the way he sees the world and the choices that he's making, and the way that we are training and developing him. It's just so neat to see that in action out in the world.
Yeah, well, and those containers that they use at Central Market are like the old, I forget which recycle number it is, but it's the one that is like the old plastic milk cartons, right? Which they still sell milk in plastic milk cartons, which I think is ridiculous because there's no doubt that there's leaching of something. It may not be leaching of whatever that they measure, the thing that they're required to measure. It's like, oh, well, they don't leach this, so they're fine. It's like, well, there's 16 other things in there that do leach into the milk.
Yeah.
Or that leach into something acidic, right? Very possible that it was the acidity of the limeade that was causing them to leach and the plastic taste to be in the liquid. But I mean, if you can taste it, then it's in there, and it's in there at a level that is substantial. And we know that those plastics contain xenoestrogens, which mess with the development of both men or boys and girls. So that's not something that hopefully he will be having again.
Yes. So I've been on a mission I was on a mission to purge the plastic cups and such from the house.
Which you've done.
Yes. And then before the purge, though, I gave him a drink in the plastic cup, but he's, "Mama, we don't drink out of plastic."
Yeah.
And there's only a few restaurants that we choose to go to, and one of them happens to be a Lebanese buffet. And I was observing him. He said, "Mommy,
it's not Lebanese, it's Syrian, but
okay.
Anyway.
Thank you for that correction."
Yeah, we have this conversation all the time. Being half Persian, I can taste the difference very easily between like Syrian versus Lebanese food. But we were talking about this week. It's like most people would have no idea the difference between those two foods. And they would think that they're the same as Persian food, which they taste nothing like Persian food. Yeah.
Duly noted. Yeah. Syrian food.
No, and our friend Joe, who cooks for us sometimes, he served us this rice and claimed, "Oh, this is Persian rice." I take one bite, I'm like, "This is Afghani rice, dude." So he's Army Reserve, and he actually served over in Afghanistan when he was active duty. and learned a lot of the recipes there. So sometimes he'll sneak in a little Afghani. I'm like, you're doing that Afghani thing again. It's not quite the same.
So here's our son. So you have been, every time we go out, you have been training and developing him regarding, what's optimal for us and what's not, right? And so here he is. He tells me he wants to get his plate by himself. Here it is in play. And so I just observe him. I'm not like overseeing him, like over his shoulder, like doing that.
Yeah. And he did a great job.
Yeah, he got himself the first plate of vegetables and salad.
Mhm.
And he knew that the peas and the carrots and that had kidney beans and corn in it. Said, Daddy, I'll pick those out, just because
Mhm.
he wanted the peas and
The
carrots,
peas and
right?
carrots. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just so
And if he was unsure about something, he would ask me and I would explain to him, okay, this is fine, or this is not something we want to eat, and here's why. And
yeah. And then he
yeah,
requested a lamb shank, and it was just, oh my gosh, I cannot even find the words.
a mother's pride right here. You can see it.
Yes, and I just left him to his own devices, and he chose powerfully for himself.
Yeah. Well, I think what people need to realize, though, is that this has been a process that began when he was 6 months old. I mean, his first meal was okra and turkey that was cooked with turmeric and probably a little bit of paprika, and it was tomato sauce, or it could have been pimentos because my mom was there. Anyway, the point is, this is my dad's famous. It was pimentos because it was turkey, which means it was my mom's version. It's type A version, but typos can eat it too. That was his first meal at 6 months old, which of course, some people who still follow the old, like from England back when they thought that introducing kids to, like, first you have to give them fruit until they're 9 months, and then you can give them cereal grains, and then like maybe when they're a year old you can give them meat. It's like, who came up with that? Whoever came up with that was definitely a type A, right? I mean, that is not a typo. So I came up with my own food introduction schedule for him, in which we did, and it was really very effective. And I just made some minor tweaks to it with our second son, and that was also very effective. So yeah, I mean, I think that people used to just watch our son eat
Mm.
like almost like a spectator sport. Because when he was 9 months and or even a year old, he'd just sit there and he'd eat foods, and we'd have people come and say, oh, well, my 6-year-old or 10-year-old or 13-year-old won't eat these foods that your 9-month old or 1-year-old is eating, and loving, just sitting there, just enjoying every bite of it, and he would relish in his food. And I just think that is, all of that was part of it. It's all the programming, you
Thank you
know.
for mentioning that word, because we talk about programming when it comes to education, and you can absolutely, like, I have reprogrammed myself on a cellular level. Whenever there's a social gathering, there's a table of sweets and sugar, my body is not calling for that. I can approach it with equanimity. And I keep using this word because equanimity is, no matter what is going on externally, that you have a sense of this groundedness and alignment and ease and peace about it. And
Well, and I think that's also true on the flip side of people who are hearing us talk and they're like, oh, but I don't like that food and this food and that food. And what am I going to do now as a grown up? I can't go back and feed my baby self those foods. Fair. But it takes, on average, let's say you've got a child that's maybe a 3 to 5-year-old and you're wanting to, hey, introduce some new foods to them. They're already past that super plastic window where you can just feed them whatever and they're going to eat it. So how do you do it? Well, you introduce foods. What you can do, sometimes it takes 8 to 12 times. That's really what I wanted to say. It takes 8 to 12 times on average to get a child to eat a new food. And sometimes the first time it's like, I'm going to lick it and put it down, right? And then that's, yay, you licked it. You put it in your mouth and you put it down. Okay, next time we're going to take a small nibble, right? And swallow it. And then after that, okay, maybe take one full bite, right? We have a 1 bite rule in our house, which is, even if you don't prefer something, You have to at least take one bite at a minimum.
And even our 3-year-old abides by it.
Yeah.
And this is where, for you parents, you're going to discover a whole new level of grit and patience if you do have an interest in reprogramming and refining your child's palate.
Yeah, there's a great movie actually called The Magic Pill in which they demonstrate this process, where there's a young autistic girl who basically is surviving on like chicken nuggets and goldfish, and that's all she will eat. And they basically only put they get all that food out of the house completely, and they put nothing but real food in front of her. And I think it's on the third day she finally breaks down and like just gobbles up an entire plate of it. And
Yeah.
from then on, she'll eat anything, right?
Yeah. She's eating grass-fed steaks and
Oh,
green beans.
yeah. And that's really what it takes. It takes that discipline to like watch your child not eat for 2 days, right? And maybe 3 days. I mean, the child can survive easily with just drinking water for probably certainly easily 3 days, probably 5 days, not a problem. After 5 days, I'd be hesitant to say, yeah. And of course, this is not technically medical advice because I don't know your situation. So the point is work with your doctor on it. But there are actually experts in this realm that will teach you about. You could kind of do the cold turkey method, which is what they do in that Magic Pill movie. It's a documentary. And what's so crazy about that movie is at the beginning of the show, she's nonverbal, autistic nonverbal. And by the end of it, she's starting to talk. So it's like, it's wild, but it's amazing. I love it. That's such a great example of the power of nutrition. So
yes, our younger son, his first meal was June, goat yogurt, tabbouleh.
well, what is Fesajun? You have to tell them.
You must tell them, baby.
You want me to tell them? Okay.
Yes.
So it is a stew made with chicken, pomegranate molasses, which is basically reduced down pomegranate juice, walnuts that have been toasted and ground up, and it's got some onions and things like that, and the turmeric maybe a little bit. I forget off the top of my head, but it's got a sweet and tart and very rich because of the walnuts. And it's got, how would you describe it?
I'm kind of lost in your, like, when you talk about food, it's like food love language for me. So don't ask me any questions right now. I'm listening.
Okay. Yeah, typically served over rice. My advice is you're going to find recipes out there that use like honey and sugar and lemon juice. You don't need any of that. If you feel like the pomegranate molasses, if you feel like it needs to be more sweet, add more pomegranate molasses. If you feel like it's not tart enough, add more pomegranate molasses. Basically, the solution to making good Fesajun is add more pomegranate molasses. You really don't need any of that other stuff. And why would you? Because pomegranate molasses is, unless you're a type B and you can't have pomegranate, in which case, I'm sorry. I'm sure we could come up with a type B version that would be good, but you'd have to use turkey anyway because you can't have chicken. Anyway, we're getting a little derailed.
Yes, I just
Yeah.
So after Jean-Luc's gymnastics class, right? They give all the kids a choice of either a cookie or stickers. And all the kids gun for those cookies, which have sugar in them and gluten and
There's probably GMO flour too, the good stuff.
And after class, it's a mommy and me class. So I noticed, I look for him and he's not anywhere in sight. Right? He has gone for that cookie. Okay, by the time I get out there, he's stuffed his mouth with 2 of those cookies. And he knows that that's not what we do. So we had a good talk. Okay, very good talk. Sweetheart, you're a type O baby. Okay. Gluten is not optimal for you. And we don't eat refined sugars. And I get it must have been 49. Why, mama? Why? I answered each one.
Why was also my favorite word as a child.
Each one, I answered them. And then by the 49th why, because eating like this will lead to diabetes and cancer. And he just looks at me, he says, diabetes? Okay. And then,
that's some past life stuff right there. He's like, oh, I don't want that. How would he know what that means?
Because I've been explaining to him that you get sick on the inside. He listens.
Well, I know. I'm making a joke. I'm making a joke for you.
Oh,
I gotta
I just got
joke
it.
occasionally here.
I just
for
got
you.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Oh,
I never
so
finished what I was gonna say, but you finish what you're gonna.
I
Yeah.
will.
And then I want to get back to what I was saying about
So
food.
his I also see on the court that his palate is being very refined too, because he doesn't eat refined sugars.
Mhm.
So even if he eats something remotely sweet, he'll tell me, "Mama, too wheat for me."
Yeah. No, he got a hold of one of these Annie's organic fruit roll-ups that Ryan had brought home from his school party. He goes to a school where everything is like organic, refined, sugar free, but they put a
No,
lot of like,
that was me. We got those at Central Market.
oh, you bought more of them?
No, I didn't. Those came from Central Market, not his
I
party.
thought they came from the party.
No,
You bought
I
those
did.
in direct violation.
A Starfleet code.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
he had a little titch of it. Okay, too wheat.
Yeah, and he's like, no thanks. Yeah, which is correct. I mean, those things are way too sweet, and they have like cornstarch in them, and I can't believe you bought those. Anyway,
Beloved, this is why you do all the shopping for this family, okay?
99% of it, yeah, yeah. Can't let you poison us, right? Too often.
Hey.
I'm kidding. I wanted to finish what I was saying about food introduction. So on average, a kid needs 8 to 12 times. Well, adults are going to be more. So, and there's a great book. I think B. Wilson is the author. The book is called First Bite.
Yes.
How We Learn to Eat.
Yeah.
Really great book. Some of her advice about it is actually pretty good. I think she's broadly in agreement with me that you need to basically feed your babies the way you want them to eat when they're grown-ups. And so what's optimal for them. And I'm probably a little more strict on things like sugar and refined, ultra processed foods and additives and things like that. But I believe she's also British, so they probably have more regulations over there, so they don't have to worry about food additives quite so much as we do. But yeah, and I think that it's one of those things that as an adult, even looking back on that, reading that book, you kind of understand, oh, this is why I like the foods that I eat and I don't like the foods that I don't eat. And I have patients that come in and there's entire food groups that they won't eat. And I'm like, all right, well, we need to go find you someone who does medical hypnosis and figure out whatever that is that's blocking you. You had some horrible experience where you were forced to eat something, or there's some smell because your dad came in with a big load of fish and he was gutting fish in the sink and you were just turned off by that. So you've never eaten fish ever since that moment. And we clear that out.
Or you had some bad shrimp and you vomited. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that happened to Ryan when he was little and he wouldn't eat shrimp for a while. And then gradually we reintroduced it and he's fine with it now. But you remember that?
It was at a restaurant.
Yeah, no, I remember exactly what restaurant it was.
I know. And so now we have only
gonna roll them under the bus.
Wild caught shrimp. And yet just the other day, he was actually picking it out of his his homemade fried rice, eating the shrimp.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, the shrimp we buy is like, it's wild Argentinian shrimp. Or is it Argentinian? Or yeah, it's Argentinian.
Argentinian.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. It's like shrimp that tastes like shrimp, as opposed to shrimp that tastes like nothing.
Yeah.
Which is like most shrimp these days.
Yeah.
The farm raised shrimp from Thailand or wherever is just like, it's just like, it has no flavor whatsoever.
Yeah.
Actually, Gulf shrimp is in season right now. I've been buying some wild Gulf shrimp lately. This year, I guess they seem to have had a big harvest of it. So look out for wild Gulf shrimp somewhere at a store near you. I get no sponsor. We really should get some sponsors because frankly, we talk about so many products and stores and I'm just, oh, there we go again. People free money.
Well, here it is. Okay.
I'm talking about the people that are going to make money off of what we're saying.
Yes.
Not the people who are going to benefit. I don't mind that part. It's the people who benefit, like our audience. That's great.
So thank you for your generous listening. And this is a series of The World of Food. Thank you for joining us.
I'm Dr. Ryan Partovi.
And I am Mrs. Madi Partovi.
And this has been the Partovi Effect, creating the consensus. Thanks for joining us. Be well.